Order. Question number 8, Denis O'Rourke.
Mr Speaker, this question is addressed to the Minister of Immigration. How many people are currently classified as unlawfully in New Zealand? And what steps, if any, has he taken to reduce that number?
Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
The most recent figure we have is from 2012 and estimates that 14,044 unlawful overstayers were in New Zealand. This is the lowest number this century and is more than 20% less than in 2007 under the Labour New Zealand First government, when more 3,000...
Order. I can anticipate the point of order, but I'll hear it from the member.
Well, Mr Speaker,
Right Honourable Winston.
Great minds think alike. There was no New Zealand First Labour coalition government.
It would be helpful to the order of this House if the Minister would not refer to it as a Labour New Zealand First government.
Would it now? Mr Speaker, it was still more than 3,000 overstayers in 2007. To the second part of the question, the government has incentivised voluntary departures by banning anyone deported from New Zealand from coming back until they've repaid the taxpayer for the cost of their deportation, and even then it's unlikely that they would be let back in. Those and other changes have contributed to many more overstayers choosing to leave voluntarily rather than being forcefully deported.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke.
If the government's policy regarding people unlawfully in New Zealand was actually effective, why are the numbers still at well over 14,000 still so high?
Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'd simply dispute the preface to the question. The numbers are low and dropping.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke.
Does the Minister accept that the current high level of people unlawfully in New Zealand and the low probability of deportation constitute a strong signal to others that they can break immigration law with impunity? And if not, why not?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Well, Mr Speaker, I simply don't accept that it is high. It is the lowest figure this century and continues to drop. It's 23% lower than that party's support of the previous government.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke.
What is the estimated cost in terms of health, criminal justice, law enforcement, education and other costs associated with people unlawfully in New Zealand?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Well, Mr Speaker, I don't have that figure to hand. I'd be very happy to estimate it if the member puts it down in a written question, but I have every confidence that it would be at least 23% lower than in 2007.
Supplementary question, Denis O'Rourke.
What steps have been taken to recoup the costs of deporting people unlawfully in New Zealand, and have those steps been successful?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Well, I think it's firstly important to point out that the removal and deportation costs have halved since 2005-06, and the government has a very strict policy that nobody may apply for re-entry into New Zealand until the taxpayer is refunded the costs of their deportation, and that is why, while deportations have increased slightly, the voluntary departures have more than doubled.
Question number 9, Honourable Ruth Dyson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Conservation. When was he first informed by the Department of Conservation that they were considering contributing to any submission on the Tukituki catchment proposal that might